What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to give you the daily stock market recap. I'm going to go over my trades from this morning, and we're going to look at the condition of the overall market. Today was kind of interesting because it was fairly choppy, fairly slow to start. I was focused on a stock from yesterday, a continuation name. It kept going from yesterday into today. And that was the stock that I broke the ice on just after 7 a.m., got my first $5,000 of profit on, which is my daily goal. So at that point, I had the daily goal, I had a cushion on the day, and I was kind of waiting for the next stock. But you know what was interesting was we had a couple stocks that popped up, but nothing that pulled away. In fact, my best trade was after the 9:30 opening bell on SGN. This is a stock that had news that came out, they halted it, then it resumed trading, and all of a sudden, whoosh, this thing squeezed up over 250%. And that was where I really did the best today. So we'll look at SGN, as you can see right here. The stock is pulling back a little bit now off the high, which was a bit over $7, back down just under $5 right now. So we had this nice rally up. But you know what's interesting is at the open, I was focused on two stocks at the same time. And sometimes when that happens, you know, your attention is, well, clearly dispersed. And so I was focusing on nvni at the open. And so this was the stock I traded right at the open in these first 2 or 3 minutes. And, well, you know, I ended up doing pretty well on it. Locked up $3,922. By the way, I'm up almost $24,000 on the day. So another really solid day adding to the week. This is my month of January right now, sitting at $323,000 before today. So this now puts me up close to $350,000. 2 days left, Thursday and Friday. We'll see what this week has in store for us. Last week was a record for the month so far at $165,000. But this week is not bad, right? So after today, it'll be 57, 50, almost 60,000. So, you know, sure, if I got a $100,000 day or two $50,000 days, I could potentially beat last week. I don't expect it, but you never know. It just depends on what the market wants to give us. So right now, sitting in a really nice place, we could just look at the last 30 days here. I've been maintaining a nice green streak. I've had some days where I did go red, and I was able to rally back out of the red and get back into the green before the end of the day. So preserving the green streak, which is good. But let's look at the first trade that I took today, slxn. So slxn was on watch this morning, and the reason it was on watch was because it had made this really strong move yesterday, and I thought it was worth keeping an eye on for continuation. Now, my main issue with it is that it's a cheaper stock, and I usually find these cheaper stocks are just not as easy to trade. You have to buy 20, 30, 40,000 shares to make good money on it. You get 5 cents a share, but you've got fees and commissions, or at least I do with my broker. So I wasn't super excited about trading it, but right at about 7 a.m. here, it starts squeezing up. It breaks over VWAP, goes over 180, 190, up to 2, and so I broke the ice on this first trade, $2. When it broke over 2 and held 2, I jumped in it, but I had to buy a big position. So I got in a big position of this right at $2, but you know what? It worked. It squeezes up to 210, up to 220, pull back, pushes up to 230. So I ended up locking up about, well, $4,300 on it total right now. I actually hit a high of about $7,000 of profit on it, and then I gave some of that back. I gave it back, it was actually right here on this candle. So I bought this dip off of 220, and I thought we were going to squeeze back up right here for another, basically the way this pulled back and then rallied, I thought this was the pullback and we were going to rally again. So I sized up here and then stopped out down here. So I did give back a bit of what I made on it, but that was okay because this was the stock that I broke the ice on, built my cushion on the day, got myself into the green, and then at that point I was like, all right, what's next? So slxn, that was the first stock I traded. So I got a bunch of trades on that one, and then next stock was VINC. Now VINC hits our scanners. Boom, right here. You can see it hitting the scanners, goes from 173 all the way up to 340, and then comes all the way back down. I jumped in it at 299, looking for the break of 3. So I got in way up high here, and it went up to the 330, but man, this thing was pretty risky. So it goes up to 330, and then it flushes back down. So I captured profit from 3 to 330, and then I also took a dip trade on it and got a little bit of a bounce. But you know what? I was disappointed to see it rejecting as much as it did. And that was sort of my first, caution flag of the day. Well, maybe it was the second one. The first one was that when I sat down at 7 a.m., there wasn't anything that looked amazing. There are a couple of stocks that were popping up, but nothing looked incredible. So slxn was already kind of, it's got 180 million shares of volume. It's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for me to trade a stock like that, because usually I don't like trading them. They're a little too cheap, but it was the most obvious, and I was correct about that. But anyways, so it was kind of a slow start to the day. So I was fortunate, though. I got some profit there, and I got some profit on VINC. So that put me up between these two trades at $9,000 on the day. Not bad. But then I took the $2,000 loss on slxn. So then I went from up 9,000 on the day to up about 6,900 on the day. And then nvni. And on my first trade on nvni, I lost $500. So now I'm up about 6,500 on the day. And I'm thinking, I was pretty close to 10,000, and now I'm kind of moving in the wrong direction. So first trade on nvni. This stock pops up here. Let me just pull this up here. So on my first trade on it, I just got to pull up the order. I jumped in at $6. So basically, this thing squeezes up here at about $9.18, $9.19. So it makes kind of a big move. I jumped in it for the break of 6. So I jumped in it right here at 6. Nice entry, right? How did I lose on it? Well, I added. It hit a high of 30 right here. It dips down, and as it rips back up, I'm adding for the break of 30. And I'm adding all the way up at 650. I was looking for a move to 7. I started getting a little aggressive on this. And the reason I started getting aggressive is because if we look at the daily chart on this, this is a stock that has popped up a couple times over the last few days and has this daily level at 686. And I thought, if we break that, we're on a daily breakout, which would be really nice. So that's what I was looking for, a break of 686, and it hit a high of 650, and then strong rejection. So, excuse me. Sorry about that. So I lost 500 on the first trade. And then I got back in for the break of VWAP right here. And I made back that 500 and was back to basically flat on the day. All right, so nothing super exciting. Then into the open, it squeezes up here. I got a little profit on that. It dips down, and then it rips back up here, up to 650, up to 7, over 7, all the way up to a high of 750. And there, I got a little bit more profit. So now I'm up about $3,900 on nvni, and I'm up just over 10,000 on the day. So I'm like, all right, I'm in good shape here. And then I see SGN is on my scanners. Now, I was focused on nvni during those first few minutes, and so I missed that SGN had started squeezing. So this had news of an acquisition, acquiring another company. Now, this news headline doesn't always work really well, because in order to make the acquisition, they're going to have to come presumably out of pocket and spend some money. Now, the terms of the acquisition were not super clear to me, both in the total cost or how it's being paid for. So, and this is kind of the thing where when you first take a trade on a stock that's spiking on breaking news, you don't have time to read through the whole filing. So basically, you're saying, all right, the stock is moving higher, and I'm just going to try to ride the momentum. So I first pulled it up right here when it was at about 350, and I got my order ready to add at 350, and then it dipped down here to a low of about 305. And I thought, well, I don't know about that. That's kind of weird. So then I'm still looking at nvni, and I've got SGN here over on my side chart. So then all of a sudden it breaks 350, and it squeezes up to 370, 380, 390, $4, 430, and halts up at 459 right here. So let's see. So this was the halt up. So halted up at 459. Now, this is an Amex listed stock. So because it's an Amex listed stock, we couldn't see the resumption price. So we were just sitting. On resumption, I didn't know if it was going to resume low, if it was going to resume high. In this case, it resumed more or less flat. And so because it resumed more or less flat, I added right at 475. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and add right here. So I added at 475. Stop was about 450, right about the $0.50. So taking about 25 cents a risk. I had some profit on the day to take that kind of risk. So took the risk, jumped in, punched it, and actually I got filled at 480. Sorry, hold on. Let's see. Let me just check. So 442. So where was this? I'm just looking at this for a second. So that was 942. Okay, so this is 942. So where did we halt? I'm just trying to remember here. So I think this was the halt level right here. Was that it? Right around there? Anyways, so so right there I got filled at, yeah, it was 484. 486, 490. So got this breakout right here. We break through 5 and we're all of a sudden up at 525, 540, 550, 560, all the way up to $6, and I'm taking profit out. It dips down, it comes back up, does this kind of candle wick here, which for me, I didn't like, that topping tail. And then at that point, I was like, I don't know if I could trust this. It does end up pushing a little higher, but it really wasn't easy. So the majority of my profit came from this area right here, jumping in on resumption from that halt. So yeah, so then all of a sudden I'm up $13,000 on SGN and I'm at 23,915 on the day. And I'm wondering, how much higher does SGN go? SGN on the daily chart, I was looking at this window at room to 650 here, 642. Then a little bit of resistance there at 669, 690, and then room up to 856. We didn't get that far into that window, but we got a nice move nonetheless. So, you know, SGN, that worked for us. Now, S&P 500 today, this is, you know, kind of, well, more or less sideways right now. Alibaba, they put out news of releasing their own, some AI something or other. So Alibaba's up a little bit. You know, NVIDIA, the tech stocks are, you know, kind of hanging out in this area. The whole problem with NVIDIA is that, you know, OpenAI and a lot of these AI systems require these incredibly expensive NVIDIA graphics cards. And now DeepSeek comes out and says, hey, look, we put this thing together for $5 million. We didn't use these crazy expensive cards. We're, you know, operating so much more efficiently and we did a better job. So now, well, that's not good for NVIDIA, who's selling all these cards, if it is in fact true. And of course, people initially are thinking that it is true and it's open source. So now people can, you know, learn how they were able to make the code so much more efficient. So NVIDIA is still struggling a little bit right here, but other companies, you know, Google, their tech stocks across the board were down on Monday, but now they're kind of rallying back up. So except for NVIDIA, which is still struggling a bit. So, you know, overall market right now, you know, we're kind of in this range. We know that we've got volatility, especially with the Trump administration and just potential wild cards with what's going to happen with tariffs and things like that. So each day right now, this week I've been a little more cautious, knowing that we had a little headwind from the tech sell-off, you know, and just last week was so strong. And then this week I've been able to build a cushion each day. But we haven't yet had a stock this week that's gone like just totally crazy. And we might not. And I could still have a great week, even if we don't have a stock that goes totally crazy. But last week it was ALUR. That was the stock that gave me my biggest win. This was a stock that squeezed after hours, pulls back, and then at 7 a.m. goes from 8 to 12, pulls back, goes from 12 to 18. I mean, these are 4-6 point moves. Now that I can sink my teeth into. That's what I'm looking for. We didn't get that today. SGN, you know, in total, I mean, you got 4 points from 2 to 7, 5 points almost from the, you know, bottom of the move to the top. But it was, I think even at the best, most people would have been at 350 and I was in a little higher than that. So that was a little bit hard. NVNI, this one, you know, a couple dollars a share, 550 to 750. VINC, popped and dropped $2 to $3 a share. SLXN, this one only went up, you know, 50 cents. So that one didn't give us a whole lot. So, you know, it's good we're seeing some action. RNAZ from yesterday. This one gave us a move from 6 all the way up to 17, which was actually, I mean, that was pretty good. However, the problem was a lot of halts down, very choppy. So it wasn't actually that easy to trade, unfortunately. And sometimes that's just the case. So yeah, hopefully we get one this week that, we can get a really nice, like, kind of grand slam on. But this market, we're definitely, and someone commented in the on the comments on YouTube, Ross, 6 months ago, a $5,000 day was a solid day, and a $20,000 day was a home run. And right now, it's more like a $5,000 trade is a base hit. That's a starter. And then 20,000 is a solid day, and 40 or 50,000 is, or 80,000 or 100 is more the home run. And it's true. This market is heated up really quickly, and I am seeing some big days like that. So it sort of has adjusted the the goal and the sort of perspective. But right now, in general, even though $5,000 a day is my sort of daily goal, I am recognizing that I feel like I'm pretty capable on a decent day, not even an exceptional day, but on a decent day, hitting closer to 20,000. And that's what I've been averaging more or less this month, which is a really solid place to be. I mean, it's the beginning of the year, so right now it's just about building that cushion and keeping my head down. But we go back to some of the best months or some of the best years that I had, just due to December. So January 2020, through all of 2020, we'll just do all of 2020 here. I averaged $20,000 a day for the whole year. That's a $5 million year. That's my high watermark. That's the best year I ever had. Now, this last month, I've been, pretty close to maintaining that average over the last 30 days, 19,000. Let's go back to October over the last 90 days, 21,000. So over the last, 90 days, I've been maintaining an average of 20,000 a day. If I can continue this for another 90 days into April of this year, right? All of a sudden, I'm over $1 million on the year. That's a big cushion. You expect summer's going to be a little slower, and it may be, but you also just never know. And the big variables here are, global politics, the politics here in the US, and the implications that it has on the market. So there's a lot of things that are, completely out of our control, but we are, right now things are going well, and doesn't really matter. A month from now, things could slow down. And if that's the case, then, we'll batten down the hatches and we'll hunker down and just chip away at small base hits until things open up again. But right now, things are hot. So each day I'm sitting down and I'm trying to be aggressive and capitalize as much as I can on this window, because you just never know how long it'll be open for. Maybe it'll be open for 4 years. Maybe it'll be open for 4 more weeks. Nobody knows. So anyways, that's it for me. Reminder, as always, my results aren't typical. I have been doing this for a long time, so I want you guys to manage your risk and to practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you want to check out a 2-week trial, watch over my shoulder while I'm trading, use the same software I'm using every single day to find stocks to day trade, by all means, check it out. Links will be posted for the 2-week trial in the comments and in the description. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys. I'll be live streaming tomorrow morning for members here at Warrior Trading.